Yep. Yeah, 31 and 25 are new this week, but they've driven before. Ah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's Collegiate iRacing League Formula C race, coming to you live from the Belgian Grand Prix here at the Circuit de Spa Francorchamps and inside the Ardennes Forest. I'm Matthew Nordberg. Joining me up in the booth for tonight's race this evening, it's going to be Keith Brubaker. It's going to be a fantastic race here tonight as our drivers have just started qualifying here and they're coming out for their outlaps. Keith, it's going to be a super fun race. Lots of interesting features to this track. What are you looking forward to tonight?
I mean, the biggest thing is I'm just looking forward to seeing how these drivers manage these high-speed turns. I know in practice I couldn't quite get grips on how fast you could take some of these turns, so I'm going to be very interested to see these, maybe less experienced drivers to see how they handle these high-speed turns and these cars that have relatively good downforce.
Yeah, for sure, and there are plenty of overtaking opportunities on this 4.31 mile track. The Grand Prix configuration today, so if anybody does have to enter the pits, they'll enter off the exit of the bus stop. But this track, home to so many iconic corners, Keith, and I think it's going to be great to see these drivers really put it around and hustle these cars around corners like Eau Rouge, Pouan, Lake Home Chicane. That's going to be a fun spot to watch tonight. So plenty of opportunities here. Current temperature about 78 degrees, not too hot, 89 degrees Fahrenheit on the track. But I think the temperatures in the cockpit certainly going to be higher as these drivers are going to be wheel to wheel all night long.
And the temperature's definitely going to be higher as, these point battles are going to become more and more crucial as we're coming down to about, I think you said it's about the halfway point of the season. And, battles are going to start heating up as we're starting to veer towards the end of the semester, meaning the end of the, season.
Yeah, for sure. And our drivers are just about to start their qualifying laps now. See a couple drivers here going side by side. That's Thomas Toomey from the University of Virginia in that black car, and then right behind him in the white car. That looks like that's the 28 of Louis Diaz from Florida International University. Trying to jockey over some track position on these outlaps here. These cars aren't quite up to full speed yet, but absolutely syndicate around these corners to get some temperature into those Pirelli rubbers. As we're going to look with Thomas Toomey here for his first flying lap coming out of the bus stop.
Yeah, here we go. So that first bus stop, you want to try to go out as far as you possibly can into that curbing. Make sure to go off so you can get up to full speed. And again, you want to get all the way up. You get about 5th or 6th gear, depending on how you take it. And then as you get to that 50 mark, you want to hit the brakes. You want to take this car very close in as you extend it out and use all of the curbing out of turn 1 to accelerate into about 5th or 6th gear, depending on how you take the turn. You want to go as close to the wall as possible as you're getting set up to go for Rouge. And going for Rouge, you want to take all of the curb as possible as you're going to go full throttle up the hill. And again, all that curbing, and you go wide. And then this long straightaway, you just want to go full throttle, taking it down all the way to the last turn. Go 5th or 6th gear, depending on where you got. But you want to be in 6th gear as you're getting ready to go into the next turn, which is turn number 3, I believe. which is going to be interesting as Toomey might be dealing with a little bit of traffic. Right as you hit the curb, you want to start downshifting down to about fourth or third, depending on how you go in. Back shift up, hit continue with the curbing, and you want to ride all the curb as possible as you want to extend out of the turns to continue your acceleration. Coming down to this turn, curb, slow down to about the third gear, take the curbing close to the wall, and you want to extend it out. You want to go as far as possible, possibly even to the curbing. And again, more curbing. This track's all about curbing, and then accelerate out, and then eat up as much track. We're going to keep accelerating down into this very long, bendy turn, and you want to get down into about fourth or fifth gear, and you want to ride the curb, go wide, and continue to be on that throttle as this turn is about downforce, and you want to extend wide again, get back up into about sixth gear, and then you want to downshift into about fourth or third coming into this turn, and then again, you want to ride that curbing, you want to make sure you use all the downforce possibly in the car, and continue eating those curbs. You're going to come down here, you want to go about fourth or third gear again, and then continue on that throttle. You want to continue to plow through those turns, as this is all about speed and acceleration, as these are very good windy corners. You want to accelerate all the way back up to about sixth gear as you're getting ready to go into the second to last turn. And in here, you want to go close to that the side of the track, because you're going to take it wide, as now into this turn, it's a very fast turn, not off the gas acceleration corner. And again, curbing. You're continuing on that gas until about the curb, where you start getting on the brakes and go down to about third or second gear, eat the curbing and the curbing again, and then accelerate out, use all of that curbing right there, and then that's a lap on board at Spa.
Yeah, Keith, a great ride on board there with Thomas Toomey out of the University of Virginia. Not quite the fastest time on the board right now, as that currently belongs to a very familiar name atop the timing tower at the moment, Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University, and then right behind him it's his teammate Cale Davidson, a couple tenths behind. But this track is all about some of that slipstream. You see on these long straightaways really that encompass most of the first and third sector. If you have that slipstream effect from the car in front, you're going to gain tons of time, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing right now with these two Ball State teammates. That's at least second in row there, and right in front of him, that's the number 2 of Cale Davidson, the Ball State teammate of Alif. So these two are using the slipstream to their advantage, trying to get the best lap time they can, and they only get a couple laps here, maybe 3-4 laps, because the lap is so long around here at Spa that, you know, it takes 2.5 minutes to complete one lap, and there's only 12 minutes in qualifying.
That's why I've been very curious to see the slipstream, because I know I saw Alif put in a 2:21 in practice, so that slipstream might be coming into play right now, and it looks like Cale is being a fantastic teammate and just, you know, saying, hey, we're in this battle together, so let's just try to keep that podium streak going, and let's win, and, you know, not be selfish.
Yeah, but currently there's a driver split in the two Ball State Cardinals, and that's Isaac Beekman out of Auburn University. He's currently sitting in that second spot, a new face to the CIL starting tonight. I don't believe he's run before, so it's going to be a CIL debut for Isaac and Auburn University there. He's got a couple Auburn University teammates in the field as well, making their debut. No, nobody on the timing tower yet, but we look at that top 6. 4 Ball State cars, an Auburn University car, and a Clemson car. It's going to be very interesting to see how this team battle plays out, because there's a couple other Auburn cars, a couple other Clemson cars in the field as well, so we'll see where those teams can progress throughout the race here, as it looks like that might be another teammate of our Muhammad Alif behind him now, I think, as well, trying to get that slipstream.
Yeah, it does look like that. And even you were saying about these team battles, I don't know how much it's going to be team battles as much as it might just be a possibility of, you know, taking advantage of that slipstream that your teammate's going to provide for you. And who knows, that strategy may come into play tonight. As you said, this is a very high-end, fast slipstreamy track, and who knows, Beckman may have been just asked to come into this race tonight to give hands to the rest of the team to get the points.
Yeah, and that was Lucas Moody from Ball State University's riding right behind his teammate, trying to use that slipstream effect to the best of his advantage to put him up into 5th. But Robert Kiesel Jr. from Florida International has just put himself up into the 8th position, and then Athena Leclerc from St. Clair will be in 10th after her most recent flying lap.
Yeah, I mean, these track times, you're going to see them all over the place. This track is a very, very tricky track. And like I was saying before, I was before the broadcast and that, I was saying I struggled a little bit to get down the downforce. So it's going to be very interesting to see as these times come in. You're going to see the more experienced drivers in these cars, you know, the higher, maybe not as experienced, but still relatively, you know, decent in these cars, lower at the bottom. And it'll be very interesting to see how qualifying's not everything. Yes, it's important to set a good qualifying lap, but if you can stay consistent and drive, especially a track like this, which has some very tricky corners, who knows, you could come out with podium.
Yeah, for sure. Other drivers still setting lap times right now, but at the top of the timing tower, it's still the 12 car from Ball State University, our Muhammad Alif, with a 222.409 at the moment. Currently about half a second ahead of Auburn University's Isaac Beekman, as we are watching Robert Kiesel Jr. from Florida International make his way around the track. An unfortunate race from him last week in the second race at the Hockenheim Ring. Was on course for a great finish with the podium position in race 2, but a penalty due to forcing another driver off the track demoted him off the podium, excuse me. So Kiesel Jr. is looking to bounce back this week and put that 42 car for Panther Esports up on in the podium, hopefully again tonight.
Yeah, hopefully the mistakes he made last week won't recur this week. Sometimes you just have a bad week, and sometimes just coming back and driving the car and getting a good podium can spark something more, and that's what he's probably betting on, especially on a track like Spa, which is debatably the most popular track in iRacing and racing in general, because I know this track is constantly used. So who knows, this might be just a good weekend for him to come back and say, you know what, last weekend was last week, let's focus on this week and focus on a track I'm good at.
Yeah, for sure, and right now, only a couple minutes left in qualifying, so maybe, I think at this point, anybody who hasn't crossed the line is not going to get another lap. We'll see who is able to get another lap here, as Lucas Moody put a great lap time. As the two Panther Esport cars from Florida International both spun there. I think that was Louis Diaz who also spun at the bus stop. But let's take a look here with Isaac Beekman. He's the newcomer to the CIL tonight, currently in the third spot, just displaced from the second Ball State's Lucas Moody. Riding up to the line, can he improve? And he does. That's a great lap time from Isaac Beekman. He at a 222.61. Only a couple tenths behind our Muhammad Alif. And while I don't think outright race pace is going to be super important tonight, just because they're going to have the slipstream effect all night, keeping the pack bunched up, that's very shown.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see this battle. Is these times, these top about 3 or 4 is going to be very close. So Beekman might put a little stir in that Ball State University podium streak, and I'm excited to see how they manage that battle.
Yeah, for sure. We're seeing a couple drivers finish their lap times now. Jason Wallet out of Drexel University just finished a lap time, as well as the 49 Treston Leclerc from St. Clair College with a good lap. The 888 car, Andrew Burrow, Clemson University, in the back half of the actually exiting the Lacombe chicane, going down towards Bruxelles now. Not quite sure if he's going to have enough time to finish this lap, though.
I wonder if he maybe crossed the line. Because I know iRacing, the way they do it, as long as, like in real life, as long as you cross the line before the time's out, it counts. So to be very curious to see if this time does indeed count. Like Matt was saying, it looks like there's a little bit of traffic coming up here, so he might have to deal with that. But it looks like they may have escaped and been towed away. So he has a free track to go, which, again, that slipstream may not be a factor right now. So who knows what's going to happen with this time if it is standing.
Yeah, a lot of drivers pulling into the pits now, calling their qualifying session a wash at this point with only a few seconds remaining. A couple drivers still on track, obviously Andrew Burrell we're watching on board with right now. Our Muhammad Alif, Cale Davidson, those two were drafting off each other earlier, so I wonder if they're still drafting together. Leclerc Ben Fiore from Mars College has put up a good showing this season so far. Currently 12th right now in the qualifying order, but the 25 car, I don't think he's going to get back to the line in time. I think we'll see what iRacing does here, and it will end the qualifying session immediately. But that's going to be it for qualifying here, Keith. Running through the grid to start the first race of 2 tonight in the CIL Formula C Series Belgian Grand Prix. It's going to be our Muhammad Alif from Ball State University in pole position. Right to his outside, it's going to be a newcomer in Isaac Beekman from Auburn University, 2 tenths behind the Ball State driver. Lucas Moody will be 3rd for Ball State, and Cale Davidson, his teammate, will be right to his outside in 4th. Andrew Williams from Clemson will be 5th, and the first alumni in the field, Thomas Toomey out of the University of Virginia, will be 6th. Bradley Skinner, a newcomer to this, newcomer to the CIL, will be 7th for Ball State, and Robert Kiesel Jr., the Florida International Panther Esport driver, will be 8th. Austin DeLong from Penn College of Technology in 9th, and Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College in 10th. Michael Tognati from the College San Mateo in 11th, and Ben Fiore in 12th from Marist College. Keith?
And then we got Andrew Burrow from Clemson University in 13th, Mark Jurek from the Penn State College of Technology in 14th, and 15, Nick Stockner from Clemson University, and 16, Ricky Paz from Valparaiso University. In 17th place, one of our newcomers, CJ Smith from Auburn University. In 18th, Aiken Lamar from Howard Community College. 19th is Jason Wallet from Drexel University. 20th is Tristan Leclerc from St. Clair College, correction. And 20th is Jason Sterlite from Auburn University. 22nd is Nicholas Spinelli from Robert Morris. 23rd is Ethan DeClaire from Brownsford University. 24th is Zach Lindler from Limor Ryan University.
We're getting ready to go green here for the Belgian Grand Prix, and Armand Philippe with a good start here off the line. It looks like it's going to be a challenge from Lucas Moody to the inside of Isaac Beekman going down into turn 1. All clean so far, not too much chaos at the moment as they stream out of turn 1. A little bit loose there, I think, from Michael Tognati further back in the field as they go 3 wide further back. But right now at the front of the pack, it's single filed out at the front of the pack as they head into Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time tonight. 10 laps for each of our races tonight as they head down the Kimmel Straight, and it's going to be a slipstream fight here as it looks like Isaac Beekman's going to pull out alongside Cale Davidson and Lucas Moody to try to get up back into that second position. It's going to be 3 wide here as Lucas Moody, that's Cale Davidson to the outside now as they go 3 wide into Lake Combe. Who's going to have to come ahead in front of this battle? And it looks like, contact there between Cale Davidson and the newcomer of Isaac Beekman, but they straighten it out. A great save from those drivers, and they continue on, and at the front of the field, Ball State is 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I mean, it just happens. Your tires are cold. You're trying to take some advantage, and as they say in Formula One, they were trying to go for the same space, both cars, and unfortunately that spin happened. These battles are going to only start heating up as we have a very large field tonight, and it's going to be interesting on a large track like this. How soon does traffic come into factor?
Yeah, that's a good point there. Only 10 laps, but obviously if some people get separated from the back of this pack, there could be some lap traffic as a side-by-side here. I think that's Thomas Toomey and Andrew Williams side-by-side into the chicane here in the middle sector of the track. Very close there between the Panther Esports driver of Robert Kiesel Jr. and Drew Williams, but Drew Williams is going to have the inside line for this next right-hander to get him back onto the back straight. But a great move around the outside there from Robert Kiesel Jr. will promote him up into the 5th position right now. I think Drew Williams is struggling a little bit with keeping the car under him. He looks like he's a little bit loose maybe.
Yeah, and again, we're still in the first lap, so these guys, they're out battling, but you also have to factor in your tires are cold, your car's heavy. You may not be able to take that turn as fast as you get your practice laps, so you got to factor in these battles. Everyone's got cold tires, so you may not want to take that turn, especially going into this last turn, which is a very slow, windy turn. Your car's heavy, so you might want to get on the brakes as you see a lock.
Contact in the chicane!
Big
pile up in the chicane there. It looks like a couple drivers got a little bit too deep into the corner, and I think someone took out maybe 2 or 3 drivers. We will get a replay of that for you. I think it was Isaac Beekman and Robert Kiesel Jr. potentially coming together, but now side by side, this is the 25 of, I believe that is Ben Fiore, yes, trying to defend right now from the 2 Clifton cars behind him, Drew Williams and Nick Stockner, but chaos in the first lap on the bus stop there.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was saying. You got to watch your tires, your temperatures, especially first lap. Things like that are going to happen. You're going to lock up. Looks like Drew Williams is very much trying to take advantage of it. As someone completely flies by him and it kicks the number, but these guys are starting to feel their tires and starting to, understand the car. As Drew Williams looks like he's slowing down. Interesting.
Yeah, it looks like Drew Williams might have a little bit of damage. I think he's pulled off the track and he's towing to the pit, so an unfortunate end to race 1 for Drew Williams, and we're going to have to get a replay of that contact to see. Maybe he had suspension damage. He got through Eau Rouge and Radion okay, but I guess it was just so loose coming out of that compression that it really messed him up, and it's hard to defend and attack when your car is so damaged like that. But speaking of defending and attacking, Thomas Toomey had just made the pass past Cale Davidson to get into the podium spots, and here in race 1, the University of Virginia Cavalier up into 3rd right now, but he's going to have to defend from Cale Davidson here.
Can I just point out, I love the high mom on his car. That just makes me chuckle every time. As these guys are battling on, this is a very fast sector, so if you can get on the throttle fast like Cale just did, you can get opportunities, but it does look like Thomas Toomey is a little quicker, and downforce, downforce, downforce. You got to trust your car going through these turns because, they have downforce, and if you're on the gas and you trust your car, you're going to get the speed and be able to battle.
Yeah, for sure. Battle's going on up and down the field right now, but I want to take a look back at that replay we saw in the bus stop with Drew Williams and a couple of the other cars riding on board with the 23 from Clemson University. Let Athena Leclerc by on the inside of Blanchimont. Up ahead of them, we're going to see maybe some fireworks, as it looks like, oh, someone dived down the inside. It was the Auburn University car diving down the inside, and that just forced Drew Williams to take evasive action there.
It is interesting though why he doesn't look like any damage. It's possible the contact up here that they messed his car up, because that looked like it was pretty clean. So we're on board with Isaac Beckman right now, and let's see what happens. He just sent it, possibly missed his braking point. Let's see. Oh, he totally missed his braking point. Unfortunately, with these cars in the situations they were, everything wasn't heated up properly, so the brakes don't quite work as they were at full temperature.
Yeah, but I think a lot of those drivers were lucky not to be involved in anything more significant. Drew Williams, unfortunately, did have to go to the pits. Looking at him real quick throughout this sector and this sequence, did he have any additional damage? It looks like the 42 was slowing down. Not quite sure where Kiesel Jr. is in the running order now. But yeah, we see damage on the right front there of Drew Williams' car, maybe suspension damage. I can't see anything more conclusive though, so it's going to be difficult to tell. I'm guessing he did have suspension damage, and that's why he had to pull off here at the top of the hill.
Yeah, I mean, if his car is damaged, he did make the right decision though to pull off the corner and just get out of the race, not get involved. As we're on board with Aiken Lamar battling with, what number is that? It's that one of the Penn College. Is that Austin DeLong possibly that he's battling with?
Yes, Austin DeLong he's fighting with right now. He's just squeezed ahead of him, exiting the Lake Home chicane down to Bruxelles. Right now, Aiken Lamar trying to attack on the 22 of Penn College Technology, but also trying to defend from the Penn College Technology Mark Turek car, the 225, which is right behind him at the moment.
But yeah, this battle is going to heat up. Now that these guys are kind of getting in their rhythm, it's the third lap, the tires are up, the brakes are up. These are when the real fun gets battled. As the 42 just passes by the, who is that? It's
I think that's Jake Cummings and Mark Turek right now.
Yeah, which that battle is going to heat up, because these guys are great drivers, and if you're good battles are going to come with great drivers.
Yeah, for sure. We go back towards the top 5, and we see a battle brewing here between Ball State's Bradley Skinker and the St. Clair College driver of Athena Leclerc as they head towards Blanchimont. We saw Leclerc make a great move on Drew Williams into Blanchimont earlier. We're going to see if she can repeat that feat here once again. It takes a little bit of cooperation sometimes to make passes with those flat-out corners, but Athena Leclerc is not afraid of the cooperation, or the lack of it, I should say, as she tries to go around the outside of Blanchimont, and she hangs it around super tough. It looks like she's going to have the inside line coming down towards the bus stop, who's going to be deeper on the brakes. A slight lockup from the 61 of Leclerc, but a great move in the end as she moves up into the top 5.
Yeah, it was a great move, and I was almost watching. It looked like she was battling with Skinner. It almost looked like he was flipping a little bit, so that makes things even more challenging on iRacing. As after all, this is a simulator, and we all connected to the server. Sometimes you gotta be careful of flipping cars, because netcode is a thing, as there's a massive battle down this street. It looks like 4 cars are going in. It looks like Aiken Lamar was able to win out in that battle from Austin DeLong, and that pink car, I can't tell what number it is, looks like they might, of the 19, might be struggling a little bit. It's going free ride down the front straight. It's going to be interesting battling.
Yeah, very rarely do you see 2 wide into a rouge, but it's happening here between the 19 and the 42 as they make it through there all in one piece. A lot of cooperation here. They're going to have to be bump drafting down the Kimmel Straight here. Absolute chaos as we ride on board with Austin Long, and it's just insanity coming down the Kimmel Straight into the braking zone at Lake Home.
Let's see who's going to be the first to break, because this is where the gain on position. And it looks like everyone made it through pretty safely. It didn't look like anybody lost. This is amazing racing. This is good, hard racing. And everyone's being super respectful, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, side by side. Towards the front of this pack, it's the 94 and 42. That's Aiken Lamar in the 94 and the 42 of Robert Kiesel Jr. Those 2 cars doing a great job so far. Going side by side. And leading the pack at the moment is Jake Cummings as they approach the rear end of Bradley Skinker from Ball State University. He's going to join this fight, and this gaggle is getting bigger and bigger. It's almost snowballing with how many cars it's catching up to.
Yeah, this is an interesting battle. I mean, that front pack is starting to break up a little bit, but they're still sticking together. And like we were talking earlier, I'm very curious to see how much of the draft is helping this back. Is DRS is there's not DRS in these cars, but essentially the effective DRS is kicking in. So as these cars are catching up, they're getting faster and faster, and everyone else is going quicker and quicker.
Yeah, and all it takes is one mistake, and you could drop from 9th to 16th. This fight for the top 10 invert position is heating up, certainly, as if you finish 10th in race 1, you get the pole position in race 2 due to a top 10 invert. for our second race of the evening, as we're not even halfway through this race yet, and there is action up and down the field, but up the front of the field, it's Cale Davidson and Thomas Toomey fighting it out over that last podium spot, as Toomey's getting a little bit loose in the bus stop, and Cale Davidson will take advantage and move himself back into third position.
And there's action along this entire track, which is exactly what you want from an authentic, historic track like this. Aiken Lamar is getting overtaken by Jake Cummings, and that 14 car is battling. Aiken Lamar probably had a bad bus stop corner, and as the battles are commencing, these guys are still sticking together though, so these battles are just keep going and going, and Zach Lindler is still sticking in that battle as he's leading the pack, but still, these guys back here are just racing competitively and sticking together.
Yeah, for sure, and it now looks like things have calmed down just a little bit. Everybody's back into a single file line, but the second they start slipstreaming up Lacombe, or through the Kimmel Straight, I should say, excuse me, there's going to be lots of fighting going on, as we already see it right here between Aiken Lamar and from Howard Community College and Valparaiso's Ricky Paz. Looks like Ricky originally defensive on that line, but he's going to drift to the outside of the track, try to get hard on the brakes here into Lacombe. Who's going to come out ahead deep on the brakes here? A great job from Ricky Paz to stay ahead in the braking zone and move himself, or keep himself in the 11th spot right now. And we can just see from Aiken Lamar's point of view just how crazy the fights are in front of him, and you got to be worried if cars in front of you wreck that you don't get involved yourself.
Especially on a track like this that's super fast, you got to be trusting your brakes and just trusting everybody with these close battlings. As Kessel is right behind, that is the 124 of Nick Seeler, or Stockner, and they're still battling down these straights, and just they can't quite seem to make these moves, but they are still getting that downforce. And it's just battling and battling and battling. You gotta also watch your tires, because this track will eat your tires alive if you're not careful, as this pack is sticking together.
Yeah, the 124 seems to have a little bit of damage on that front end. I'm not sure if there was a self-induced spin or if there was some contact earlier in fighting with the chaos here at Spa. But I think that damage is probably affecting Stockner pretty significantly. The driver out of Clemson University, podium finisher last week at the Hockenheim Ring. Unfortunate right now, dropping down the field due to a little bit of damage, it seems.
Yeah, it does seem like he's got damage. Doesn't look like iRacing shows much of the damage, but he does have a little bit. As it just seems like he's getting past. As Aiken Lamar is still battling quite hard for that 10th spot. And he wants that pole, I bet, going into the next race. And I think he's going to get it with the way he's driving.
Yeah, as we go
inside lane.
We're almost 3 wide into the bus stop here as Ricky Paz, big lockup from Aiken Lamar there, but Ricky Paz gets past Nick Stockner, and Nick Stockner proceeds to get passed by Zach Lindler out of Lennar Ryan University there. So this battle is certainly something to keep an eye on for the rest of this race, as up at the front of this pack, where all these drivers going a bit insane, a bit crazy, but it's fun to watch. Right now it's Bradley Skinker from Ball State University leading this pack, with Robert Kiesel Jr. and Jake Cummings right behind them. And that's for the 7th position right now. At the front of the field, Caleb Davidson and Thomas Toomey are scrapping over the last podium spot.
And it's really interesting. These packs are you're getting the pack. It's almost like NASCAR a little bit. You got a pack race in these tracks, and we got a large pack behind. We got a small pack in front. So it's going to be very interesting as we go 3 wide down the straight, getting ready to go into that turn. Who's going to be the first one on the brakes? Let's see. It's between Jake Cummings and Kessel Jr. It looks like Jake Cummings went out in that one, but Kessel's coming right back at him. Houston correct, right back at him, and that Ball State car is right on top of him as well, as this battle just continues down these fast, windy turns.
Yeah, this middle part of the track is definitely where you can separate yourself a little bit from your competitors. Not a whole lot of slipstream in this middle sector due to the nature of the high-speed corners, and it can be difficult to follow through here. So if you're able to break, I think the gap's about 1 second, 1.2 seconds, give or take, to break the slipstream effect to the car behind. So if you're able to build out that big of a gap in the middle sector, then you're going to be in a really good spot on the 1st and 3rd sector, where the entire parts of those tracks are just flat out.
Yeah, I mean, these turns are about how long you can stay on the throttle, and if you trust your car enough to go fast, because you're going to have to trust that downforce, especially when you're battling like Austin DeLong here is battling. You got to be able to be on that gas and just know you're going to be able to make it, and you also have to be able to be on the brakes in case the car in front of you doesn't trust their car enough.
And off into the grass there, we saw Nick Stockner go through a little bit of a rallying exercise in the gravel, but he's still on the track, so no harm, no foul for the Clemson University driver. Now DeLong here is going to look inside of the 28 of Louis Diaz from Florida International, down into Blanchimont flat out. Who will stay on the gas here? And it's going to be Austin DeLong. It can be super difficult to stay on the gas on the outside of Blanchimont. We saw Thino Leclerc do it earlier, but Louis Diaz unable to do so, and he'll have to settle for 14th place here. There's a bit of smoke in the air. Oh, that's a spin. I think it's Aiken Lamar from Howard Community College, maybe a bit too deep into the bus stop, and he's going to lose a ton of spots. He was sitting around that 10th position, and now he's down in 16th.
Well, so I was watching the timing towers. I almost wonder if that may have been a tap, because it did look like he was fighting with Zach there, so possibly it was a possible spin from a good racing. But let's see the replay on board, and let's see. It wasn't even. Was it Zach 37?
Yes,
yeah, it was Zach Lindler.
Zach Lindler out of Lennar Ryan University, and Aiken Lamar going side by side down towards the bus stop. You're gonna see deep on the brakes for Aiken Lamar. Is he just too? Yeah, he's just too deep in the corner and completely missed it. That's where all that smoke we saw came from. A big lockup. He had to let some of the cars by, serve his slowdown penalty, and he got back on the track.
That's unfortunate. That's tricky corner, especially when you're battling. As we're getting right back on board with another battle of Jake Cummings and the 42, as these guys are still going at it. And these guys are I think this is going to be the battle for the rest of the race. Is they're just staying close and being respectful of each other. Yeah,
just an update at the battle at the front. Muhammad Leaf has extended his gap over Lucas Moody a little bit, about a second and a half over the past few laps. Ball State, though, running 1, 2, 3 at the moment, but Thomas Toomey has something to say about that Ball State podium lockout, as he wants to take away the third spot from Cale Davidson, as that fight has been going on for the past few laps now. But the closest fight on track does involve these lower point-paying positions right now, including the Florida International driver of Robert Kiesel Jr., who's currently attacking Jake Cummings from Wingate and defending from Ball State's Bradley Skinker.
A little side note to what we were talking about earlier with Drew Williams, it does look like he is back on track, so he may not have parked the car, just may have had a little damage that he couldn't handle. But going back to now what's going on, that these guys are just sticking on each other, and I believe that Robert Kessel is on top of Austin DeLong's slipstream, so they are probably going to stick together, and it even looks like that Ball State University car is just staying with them, so that pack is going to continue to battle. As we're jumping on board with Austin DeLong, it looks like he's going to try for the inside lane on that 19 car. And right here, again, this is a fast corner. You just got to kind of sit back and wait for that bus stop to take your opportunities. Brake late, no car in front of you brakes earlier than you.
Yeah, but the FIU driver of Louis Diaz is going to be looking around the outside of the 22 car. Another lockup there from the 37 of Zach Lindler. Oh, a great move from Louis Diaz and FIU there. A little loose on corner exit, but made the move around the outside of the bus stop on Austin DeLong. I don't think DeLong was expecting it, but the 37 right now, he's currently in the 10th spot. He's holding on for dear life right now to that reverse grid pole at the moment for Lennar Ryan, but goes deep at La Source. But a lot of cars behind him did the exact same thing, as this fight between these 5 cars right now for the 10th spot. The last point paying position and pole position for the second race is heating up.
Yeah, it's awesome to see Zach Lindler sitting up there in a position that's a very tight battle for all these guys. We're getting ready to go the long back straight, and it looks like Ricky Paz is really on top of him, and I would not be surprised if Zach gets outbroken here, because it looks like I've been watching Paul's a little bit, and they've been braking rather late. So let's see what happens going into this turn.
Yeah, it's a 37 from Lennar Ryan on the inside. Ricky Pass from Valparaiso on the outside. A good move around the outside from the 19 car from Valparaiso. We'll move him up into the 10th spot. And the 37 is looking to hold on to the 11th position at the moment, but he's got to defend from the 28 of Louis Diaz. This fight is heating up at the moment. Down into Bruxelles, it's a very difficult spot to stay around the outside because it's off camber. It's very difficult to carry speed around the outside, but he does so. He's still on the inside of Louis Diaz. Oh, a big spin there! Oh, through no name! Backs it into the wall, but I don't think there's any significant damage. I can't quite tell. That car might be crab walking. It's too hard to tell from this angle. But Zach Lindler, in trying to hold off the charging Louis Diaz from Florida International, loses a couple spots with the spin, but he gets going quickly.
That's awesome to see him back on his feet, as he may have been tapped, but now the battle's going to commence between Jake Cummings and I believe that is still the 43 of the 43, where is that? Robert Kessel, I'm sorry, 42 Kessel Jr. So this battle is just going on and on and on, and the fact that they are showing this level of respect, and also the battle just staying on top of each other shows how consistent these guys are and how well they know the track. And Spa's one of those tracks about consistency is Kessel Jr. is getting right on top of their back wheels, Jake Cummings, and Who's going to brake late? We'll see. And it looks like Jake Cummings is going to take the risk on the brake, and he's successful through the bus stop. But Kessel is still right on top of him.
Yeah, Robert Kiesel Jr. sliding through the bus stop there, as behind them Louis Diaz and Ricky Paz are swapping positions at the moment, and Louis Diaz for Florida International has slid his way into the 10th spot, and Austin DeLong from Penn College of Technology is going to try to use the potential of Ricky Paz being attacked as an opportunity for him to attack. He gets pushed onto the grass a little bit, maybe a little bit of an overreaction there from a little kink from the Valparaiso driver, as at the front of the field, Cale Davidson and Thomas Toomey are side by side heading down to Lake Home for the last podium spot here in race 1 of the evening. And Thomas Toomey from the University of Virginia, the Cavalier, will get it done before the braking zone.
And that may have just been strategy by Davison. As you know, this is a downforce track, so they might be taking advantage of the fact that they're getting that slipstream and can slingshot right past them. As they're, the Ball State's 1-2 is still in play, so they could get a 1-2-3 tonight. As they jump on board Austin DeLong, and they are still battling that. And that Paul's and DeLong battle have been going on the entire race. And these guys just don't seem like they want to give up that spot very easily.
Yeah, this pack, while it was probably about 8 or 9 cars at one point, has whittled its way down to about 4 cars. And this is for the last points-paying position here in race 1. It's Louis Diaz, the 28th from Florida International, leading this pack at the moment. Probably not the spot you want to be if you're leading, or where you want to be on the last lap due to the slipstream. But if they can pull away from the 2 cars behind and he only has to worry about Austin DeLong, that's probably best case scenario. Because if they go 3 wide into Lake Como on the last lap, there's no telling what could happen.
And especially that being the 10th spot in the reverse grid, I think Austin DeLong might try to send him up on the last turn going into the next race, the next lap, as we are getting ready to go to white flag here very shortly. So it should be very interesting as we start to get to the end of the race, and the desperation kicks in a little bit to get that the pole position for the next race.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to look here with Thomas Toomey and Cale Davidson out of Virginia and Ball State respectively. The leader, Muhammad Ali from Ball State University, has taken the white flag, and as will Thomas Toomey and Cale Davidson this time by. You see Barney on the left of your screen there, now right, waving that white flag. 1 lap to go here in the first race of the Formula C Belgian Grand Prix, as it looks like there might be contact between DeLong and Louis Diaz, and maybe, I don't know, I saw a lot of positions changing there, but still in position at the moment. But it's Thomas Toomey who's going to be under attack here from Cale Davidson.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting battle, as again, we are in the last laps. People are going to be making moves they may not have made prior just to try to get those extra points. As it does look like Thomas Toomey did get a better Rouge. However, this part of the track is just about getting to the slipstream, so Cale Davison might try to set up with that Ball State University car into the next turn, as he is catching up on the slipstream. So let's see what happens as we're getting into a heavy braking zone.
Yeah, it looks like Cale Davidson might have backed off a little bit there, maybe thinking about making the overtake into the bus stop or through Blanchimont, not quite sure. But another fight going down to Lake Como. It's Athena Leclerc and Ben Fiore at St. Clair versus Marist College for the 5th spot. No move there as well, but one place we are going to see a move for sure is for that 8th position between Kiesel Jr. and Cummings. There's contact between the 2 cars going through Lake Como. They're able to keep it in a straight line, and at the moment it's Jake Cummings holding on to position, and there's a bit of a fight going on between Louis Diaz and Ricky Paz as well. Action up and down the field right now as they come through the exit of Lake Como. Ricky Paz is off the track, and that's Austin DeLong looking to the inside of Louis Diaz into Bruxelles. A great move there, a bit of a lunge, but he's able to get on the brakes in time and is able to keep the car off the 28 from the FIU, and it's going to be a fight to the finish here as they're battle up and down the field.
And that was one of those moves I was talking about. They're jumping on board with Athena Leclerc and that 61, it's the 15 Ball State cars. These guys are battling out for this, it's the 25 car. These guys are battling out for that 5th position as we are getting into that section where it's a fast winding curve. You just got to accept, downforce in the draft. And looks like the Toomey battle is also screwing up. There's so many battles on track right now, Matt.
I know our producers can't keep up with them as Thomas Toomey is behind Cale Davidson through Blanchimont, but he's going to pull to the inside here at the bus stop. Who's going to come out on top for the last podium spot? Muhammad Ali is taking the checkered flag here. A great move from Thomas Toomey, a bit of a lockup, but is able to get the pass done in the bus stop right now. Ben Fiore and Athena Leclerc also swapping positions at the moment. Through the bus stop, will the 61 from St. Clair College stay ahead? And she will, to hold on to that 5th spot from Marist College's Ben Fiore. And the next battle coming across the line is Jake Cummings and Robert Kiesel Jr. And Kiesel Jr. has gotten ahead of the Wingate car and is able to take home that 8th position. But the battle for the top 10 and the reverse grid pole. Oh, spin from DeLong there. It's going to be Louis Diaz coming across the line in 10th to take the reverse grid pole and start from the front row in the second race tonight.
It does look like, unfortunately, Austin DeLong did lose out on that turn. It does look like he's lost quite an amount of positions, which is very unfortunate, as that was a very good battle and a very, very good race. It just unfortunately ended poorly for him at the end of the night. But he's got another race to look forward to, as do all of these other drivers. And it looks like a bunch of the field didn't even finish out. So it's going to be a good mental reset. They got about 5 minutes to think about, hey, what did I do wrong? What do I need to look forward to? What do I need to do correct? Because it's going to be another race, and we just re-rack the pins and go for another one.
Yeah, and speaking of teams and strategies, here we see the top 3 Ball State cars. Art Muhammad Ali for 12. The Lucas Moody in that red and white car to the inside of Art Muhammad Ali. And then right behind them, that's Cale Davidson. All 3 from Ball State University. A great showing from that team. They got the top 3 positions in the student class, so a fantastic showing from Ball State. I'm sure Davidson is disappointed that he couldn't secure the top 3 overall podium for the team, but either way, I'm sure that they'll be happy with this result and they can carry this into the second race.
Indeed they can, and I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed with a 1-2-4. As much as a 1-2-3 sounds great, that's still a solid amount of points for my team. You know, I would be pushing for podium, but still, this is a sprint, or it's a marathon. The race might be a sprint, but the championship is a marathon, so as much points as I can get, I'd be happy with. As now we're going into a little cool-down session, let these guys think, like I'm saying, you know, just what happened, and we can move on, as we're going to pull up the results from race 1. So Arm Ali from Ball State University to take 1. Second place was Lucas Moody with Ball State University. Third place was Thomas Toomey from University of Virginia. Fourth place was Cale Davison from Ball State University. Fifth place was Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College. Sixth place was Ben Forge from Marist College. Seventh place was Robert Kessel Jr. from Florida International University. Eighth place was Jake Cummings from Wingate University. Ninth place was Brady Skinner, a newcomer from Ball State University. 10th place was Luis Diaz from Florida International University. 11th place was Mark Tunick from Penn College Technology. 12th place was Aiken Lamar from Howard Community College. 13th was Austin DeLong from Penn College Technology. 14th was Nick Stockner from Clemson University. Zach Lindler was in 15th place from the Ryan University. And then 16th place was Tyler Kinningsmith from Robert Morris. 17th was Michael Tinati from the College of St. Mitro. 18th was Ricky Paz from Valparaiso University. 19th was Tristan Leclerc from St. Clair College. 20th was Ryan Bennon from Penn College of Technology. 21st was one of our newcomers, Isaac Beckman from Ashburn University. And same with his teammate, CJ Smith, was 22nd from Auburn. 23rd was Andrew Williams from Clemson University. 24th was Jason Wallet from Drexel. 25th was Andrew Burrow from Clemson University. 26th was Ethan DeClaire from Valparaiso University. 27th was Stuart McFall from Ashburn, and his teammate Jason Sarley was 28th. And then 29th, last but not least, was Nicholas Pinelli from Robert Morris University.
Yeah, a pretty hectic first race here at the CIL Belgian Grand Prix for the Formula C Championship. I'm sure these drivers are definitely going to need the next couple minutes to catch their breath, because I know up here in the booth we'll need a few minutes to catch our breath, because that was some incredible racing over the past 10 laps. It's also a pretty long race. Normally these races go for about 15 to 20 minutes, but this race, because the track is so long, 10 laps takes 2.5 minutes almost. So you're going to really butt up against that 30-minute time limit for these races. So some of these drivers might not be used to racing that long. Obviously, we had the 30-minute time limit come into effect at the Hockenheim Ring in the second race last week, but that was due to cautions and safety cars, due to just field pileups into a couple corners. This is 25 to 30 minutes of pure racing action. You can't take your mind off of it for 1 second, or you're going to make a mistake.
Yeah, and can I just point out, this is such a large field. I love seeing how many of these students and alumni have turned out tonight, as this is, again, one of the best tracks, at least in my opinion, on iRacing. And we go, even next week is going to be hopefully a large turnout. It's also a very popular iRacing track at Watkins Glen. So But Spa Francorchamps is a very fun, fast-paced track that if you can get the car underneath you, you're going to have fun. And you saw, these guys looked like they had a blast in this race. I almost wish I could have ran with them, honestly.
Yeah, and I think we saw a lot of super clean racing out there. I don't think we saw any major incidents between drivers. I think we just see one thing in the bus stop. We saw the Auburn driver of Isaac Beekman. He missed his braking point. I think caused a little bit of damage to some competitors. But other than that, you with a track like this where the limits, or it's so easy to get into the side of a car, miss your braking point. A lot of these overtaking zones are very sharp right left-handers. So, I'm surprised with how clean the racing was, and I hope to see that continue into race 2. But traditionally, this race has been a little bit more chaotic just because you have faster drivers starting further back in the field due to that top 10 invert.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting because, like, so the top 10 invert makes things, but also you're going to have Arma Leaf back in the back trying to go for the front, especially on, we saw the first race with all the 2 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide. It's going to be interesting because people are going to have a little bit more faith in their cars. They got that first one under their belt. Butterflies have probably gone away from most of these guys, and now they're going to maybe go for that move that they didn't quite have. They didn't want to send it in that first race, and now we're getting to that second race. Well, yeah, points are important, but you may have gotten those points you wanted for the week, and you might be like, hey, let's go for that send next lap and see if I can get it.
Yeah, for sure, as we only have a few moments left here in this warm-up session between races. 5 minutes is probably not enough time for some of these drivers to cool down and catch their breath, but a beautiful shot of the hills here in the Ardennes Forest and southwestern Belgium. An absolutely fantastic track carved into the hills of the Ardennes, but it's now time to fill these hills with the sound of racing action here as our warm-up session is now over, and we're getting ready to start the second of 2 races tonight here in the Belgian Grand Prix. Keith, I think the grid's going to be up here momentarily. Take us through the top 10 real quick.
Alrighty, so here's a reverse grid this evening. So Luis Diaz from Florida International University is going to be in pole position. Brady Skinner from Ball State University will be in second. Jake Cummings from Wingate University will be in third. Robert Kessel Jr. is going to be, or Kiesel Jr. is going to be in Florida University International, will be in fourth. In fifth is Ben Ford from Marist College. Sixth is Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College. 7th is Cale Davison from Ball State University. 8th is Thomas Toomey from University of Virginia. 9th is Lucas Moody from Ball State University. 10th, as we stated before, the winner of last race, we'll start in the back, is Arma Ali from Ball State University.
Yeah, and that's our top 10. 11 through the back of the field is going to be starting where they finished the first race. But it is now time to turn on those 5 lights and get ready here for our second of 2 races tonight in the Formula C race as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 lights are on. And the lights are out, and away we go here for the second of 2 races at the Belgian Grand Prix. Louis Diaz gets a good start behind him, a decent start from Bradley Skinker, as well as Jake Cummings is challenging down the inside into La Source. Pretty clean so far throughout the field right now. Oh, that's Thomas Toomey, who's way off the track in La Source, but no contact between cars so far as we have action side by side. That's Athena Leclerc and Bradley Skinker in the action right now, going up towards Eau Rouge, and they settle it out single file before they get to the corner. But here comes the drafting action down the Kimmel Straight.
And right here, again, we're starting the race off, so you got to factor in heavy car, low brakes, low wheels. You got to be smart, and as it does look like Louis Diaz did get a great start, but he is getting battle from Jake Cummings as we are going into one of those heavy braking zones. Looks like Jake may have thought about the move, but decided, nah, I'm not going to go quite yet. As there's a battle right behind for Bradley Skinker, and I believe that's Athena Leclerc, and these guys are battling it out, and even Cale Davison's like, hey, I want to get some of this action.
Yeah, I think we do have a spin or some contact in Lake Como. We see lots of cars moving up and down the timing tower right now, dropping very quickly for a few of them, but right now at the front is still Louis Diaz. It's a Panther Esports 1-2 for Florida International University. Louis Diaz leads his teammate in Robert Kiesel Jr., but behind them, Jake Cummings is looking to move his way up into the second podium position, and Athena Leclerc is sniffing the podium position as well as we go through Pouan for the first time this race.
And these guys are still battling, and this is what we want to see. Good battling, good respect, even though it's the first lap. By this point, you're gonna be locked in with those tires starting to heat up, as it does look like there is some heavy battling in the back, but still the battling is just all over. Like Matt was saying, we must need a breather because these guys are just constantly going. As Brady Skinner sends it in on Thomas Toomey, but went wide, so Toomey gets that position back as these battles are just continuing to go on. And Skinner and that's Lucas Moody, I believe, are battling it out, going up that long, windy straight as downforce comes into play here, as Jake Cummings is still battling for that lead, as we got Luis Diaz fell back a little bit to Kiesel Jr.
Yeah, great battle there, and a great shot through Blanchimont right now as I head down towards the bus stop. It looks like Jake Cummings and Athena Leclerc will go side by side. A little bit of a lockup there from the St. Clair College driver, and looks like Luis Diaz will continue to hold on to the lead out of the bus stop to lead this first lap of the second race. Jake Cummings was able to slide up into second and get past the Robert Kiesel Jr., the Florida International driver. We see a lot of Ball State cars at the back of your screen right now going side by side. Thomas Toomey is defending aggressively at the moment, way down to the inside of the track. He's going to let a couple of these Ball State cars by, I believe, but he's going to fight that one back for sure. We have Clemson University's Nick Stockner. He's dropped into the pit lane. He might have damage from an incident on the first lap, but side by side, it's Ben Fiore out of Mars College and Lucas Moody ahead of him from Ball State. Right behind him is Thomas Toomey. He's going to make an aggressive move to the outside here down the Emerald Street.
Yeah, and this is where you take your opportunities. You take them as you go, and going into these moves, it does look like that battle. Toomey and I believe that's the 5 car, are still going at it. That's a 25 car, 4A, are going at it, but it does look like Toomey did win out in that competition, and they are still battling to 25, and they are still battling it out going into the long corners. This is a heavy braking zone. It looks like Paulus is trying to possibly overtake, but decided not quite yet, as this turn is a little bit of tricky, and there was some brake locking back there, which is not good. And even Aiken Lamar is starting to look into maybe possibly taking some action, as Toomey is getting into that front pack battle.
Yeah, and we see the Ball State drivers have already navigated their way to the front of the pack. Cale Davidson leading the Cardinal crew of Ball State University. Out of Puan right now, the number 2 car is sniffing the rear wing of Robert Kiesel Jr., but it's going to be very difficult to break the draft once they get up into position, or even if they do get into the lead, I should say. And Aiken Lamar has made a pass on Isaac Beekman for the 12th position right now.
Yeah, and you were saying these Ball State drivers are something else, as we got Cale Davison right now battling for, it looks like it is going to be that 4th position, the 3rd position, and Arma Leaf is right behind him, so these guys are going to be using each other's drafts to get back up into those podium spots, as that battle is commencing.
Yeah, we got side-by-side action at the front. Luis Diaz and Jake Cummings going side-by-side as they come to Blanchimont. Jake Cummings has the inside line, and Luis Diaz holds on tough right around the outside, but down into the bus stop. Who's going to break later? Luis Diaz has the inside line, has the preferred line, but the 007 of Jake Cummings, a great move and late on the brakes to hold off the lead, and he'll take Wingate University to the front of the pack here at the Belgian Grand Prix. Robert Kiesel Jr. is going side-by-side with Cale Davidson as well, maybe even Arma Hamalif as they head down into La Source, but Luis Diaz fights this one back around the outside at La Source, and he might be able to get the lead back from the Wingate driver. We'll see as they exit the corner and head towards Eau Rouge now. Luis Diaz will have the inside line. I'll be very shocked if they go side-by-side through Eau Rouge. We've seen it before, but not necessarily optimal for lap time, and Jake Cummings gives that one up. Luis Diaz will take the lead back after relinquishing in the bus stop. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there from the 2 of Cale Davidson through Eau Rouge and Radion. That's certainly a heart and throat moment for the Ball State driver, but all 4 wheels are still on the track, which is the best place they can be, heading down the Kimmel Straight.
Yeah, and that move there, is, it looks like Luis Diaz is trying to send it, or it's like Jake Cummings is trying to send it, Lucas Diaz going into these turns, just decided he had to back out on it as he may have gone off. These Ball State cars are still battling. They're battling each other on top of, I believe that's Thomas Toomey. No, it is not. It's the Panther University car. Or the Panthers, Florida University. And Cale Davison is just playing smart, taking advantages. Those whales are locking up very much in front. But it does look like, I believe that is a Leaf up ahead and is in 3rd place, getting ready to battle Jake Cummings for that 2nd place position. 2nd step on the podium is not anything to complain about, but we still have 7 great racing laps to go. As Cale Davison is going to possibly try the outside lane.
They had Puan, not exactly the easiest place to make a pass, but Cale Davidson thought he might as well try it. But down into the middle sector chicane here, a big lockup from Robert Kiesel Jr. That car was locked up for a long time, but he was able to get the car to the apex and rotated appropriately to keep holding on to that 4th place position right now. Riding on board with the Ball State driver of Cale Davidson. A great vantage point through this middle sector to just see how much dirty air these drivers deal with and how much the slipstream really comes into play here on these long back stretch, or long stretches, I should say, of open pavement for these cars. As we see up ahead, that's Muhammad Ali, who's going to look around the outside of Jake Cummings here potentially into Blanchimont, but he's going to try to pull a little bit of a cheeky over-under. You can't do that super easily in high-speed corners, but he's done it. He's going to look inside, throws the dummy, he goes outside, a big lockup from Louis Diaz. Louis Diaz completely missed the corner in the bus stop and has relinquished the lead here for Florida International from first to third in one corner. A disaster for the 28 car, and he's going to have to settle for third.
Yeah, and he just flat spotted through his tires, which is going to make it more tricky to drive the cars. He might want to consider going into the pits, getting fresh tires if he falls back anymore. As there's battles commence behind, Cale Davison looks like they were able to get up to that just the 5th position, but they are very much challenging to get up into that 3rd position as these battles are continuing down that first front straight. We're going to get ready to go up to Rouge, and it does look like Cale Davison may have gotten a better exit out of that, as Diaz maybe again has their flat spots in the tires, and it does look like Toomey's even trying to get into this battle, as the action is only just heating up as you're getting into that front straight where it's all about full throttle and braking at the end of who can brake later than the other one.
Yeah, Cale Davison on the inside there will keep a nose alongside Louis Diaz right now, but Louis Diaz does a great job defending the position. Thomas Toomey is getting an idea here, maybe looking around the outside of Cale Davison. I think Cale Davison might be struggling a little bit with traffic and just making sure they got the braking points right. But at the front of the pack, we didn't see this, but Muhammad Ali was able to get past Jake Cummings. So Muhammad Ali from Ball State University has taken over the lead. So he's about 6/10 in front of Jake Cummings right now. If he's able to pull out about 4 more tenths, he'll be able to clear the slipstream.
But yeah, that's crazy, man. It looks like Moody is really trying to push past Jake Cummings. It's the Ball State University 1-2 is looking very favorable as these guys are battling between the Moody is, like I said, up there, and these guys battling behind Thomas Toomey. As Toomey's also trying to challenge. It's the Cale Davison battle, and I believe that's one of Cale Davison is battling Ben Fjord, and this battle is just gonna keep heating up as we are going down some of the faster corners. It does look like Cale Davison may have gotten a better corner, so they may get him up here on this heavy straightaway, but who knows, with the downforce of these cars, if you're on the throttle, maybe they can get it. As he's going on the inside lane, and it does look like he may outspeed him, and we're continuing. iRacing says he's got the position, and I'll be very interested to see who breaks later going into the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, Cale Davison with a great job to get the move done before they even reach Blanchimont. Cale Davison get heavy on the brakes and stay ahead of Vinfiore, and he does. In front of them now is Thomas Toomey, who's got to chase down to get back into that top 5, and Toomey himself is currently chasing the Florida International. Oh, a spin in the background. That's Robert Kiesel Jr., I believe. Maybe Ricky Paz, I'm not quite sure, but right now Louis Diaz is trying to still hold off the cars of Lucas Moody and Thomas Toomey, both of whom have charged from further back down in the pack, and Thomas Toomey's going to look outside in the Eau Rouge. Not exactly the best spot to make an overtake around the outside of that corner, but he should have a great run out of Radion down the Kimmel Straight to make an overtake down into Lacombe.
Yeah, and this battle is only heating up as Moody is looking like he's right on top, and Toomey is given the space, but Toomey's even battling it for that same position. So it looks like 3 cars are battling for one position, as it does look like pretty iRacing Moody got it, as he did break late, and it does look like he is going to have the optimal line going through that thing, and it even looks like Toomey may have gotten a better line than that 28 car, I believe it is. Diaz, that is Diaz.
Yeah, Louis Diaz, though, had a great Lacombe sector, and contact! Thomas Toomey deep on the brakes! Chaos in Bruxelles right now as Louis Diaz is sit over Lucas Moody in the corner, and he's going to lose a ton of spots there. Unfortunate for Louis Diaz, nothing he could do there as he just got rear-ended by the University of Virginia driver.
And plus the halo for that situation. I'd be very curious to see the damage on that car that just unfortunately ran into him. Could that be a factor into this race? It looks like Jimmy's car is absolutely fine, surprisingly. So that was just an incident, and unfortunately braking, as Toomey is looking like he's getting ready to battle that it's the Marist College. We have a 1-3-4 Ball State University, and Jake Cummings is still sitting very nicely in that second position as Muhammad Afleef is getting past that 1 second time, and he's on his own, and Jake Cummings, it looks good. And here we go, here's the replay. Oh, what happened? Oh, it may have been a netcode thing, as it does look like that car did blip out, but
it was not contact from Thomas Toomey, it was contact from Lucas Moody, which is very strange because of the way that car reacted. You would think he got rear-ended and almost scooped up over the Lucas Moody car, the Ball State car, but there's actually side-by-side contact between Moody and Louis Diaz there.
Yeah, and unfortunately that looks like that may have been a netcode situation, as we are in fact, once again, on a simulator, and unfortunately, server lag does happen as it does in any other game. It does look like we're getting back into this battle, and Toomey is just kind of driving and hoping to keep position as he breaks late into this turn and maybe made up a little bit of time when the car's ahead of him, but doesn't look like too much, and he's just staying consistent, hitting his points, and that's all that matters in this race sometimes, just making sure you hit your points and staying driving consistent and getting those lap times in.
Yeah, but fortunately, you know, originally we thought it was Thomas Toomey getting into the back of Louis Diaz. Instead, it was Lucas Moody and Louis Diaz coming together, and both of them are still in the race, so obviously damage not significant enough for the Ford International driver. But how will that damage affect Lucas Moody? I'm not quite sure how much damage there is, but he's able to get ahead of Cale Davidson, his Ball State teammate. Thomas Toomey from the University of Virginia, not quite close enough to make it an overtake there. As we see a lot of swapping back and forth between positions between Robert Kiesel Jr. and the Auburn University driver of Stuart McFall, a newcomer to the CIL. He's sort of snuck out of nowhere and has been able to get ahead, but Thomas Toomey somehow has now snuck ahead of Cale Davidson and Lucas Moody within the couple of corners there. So we turn back to look at the close action in Lacombe, but somehow through Bruxelles, I think Thomas Toomey was able to get ahead, and now they're heading into they're heading into Pouan now, and Cale Davidson doing everything he can to get back to that University of Virginia car.
Yeah, I mean the battles are commencing all over the place, and it does look like Cale Davidson is just gonna hopefully get some of that draft, and it looks like some traffic behind him is taken and it looks like there's more chaos in the back as this race is just non-stop action, which is fun, but it does look like Cale Davidson is challenging both in the front and being challenged from behind. As there's a battle right behind. I can't see the numbers of those cars, but they are battling right behind. It's probably going to help out Cale Davidson. It's Ben Fiore, and he says that...
Yeah, Ben Fiore and Lucas Moody there fighting for the 5th position here, going down into Blanchimont. Ben Fiore looking to the inside, but can't quite get there at the moment as we'll have to settle for the 6th spot through Blanchimont, but I'm sure he's going to have a great run, and does, out of the corner and into the bus stop. He's going to look to the inside here for Mars College. A big lockup from Lucas Moody there. That's going to hurt his tires for sure, but Lucas Moody is able to hang on. Tough contact between Marist and Ball State coming out of the bus stop. There's been a lot of contact for Lucas Moody in this race, and I'm sure he's not feeling so good right now in the car. Maybe a little bit of damage at this point. Can't quite tell, but he's able to hold off Marist College at the moment, but will the stewards be looking at forcing another driver off a track here maybe?
Yeah, that'd be interesting. It is very interesting that Moody really doesn't look like he's got that much damage on that car as he's been taking contact. As Thomas Toomey is still getting that pressure from Cale Davidson behind us. Looks like Cale Davidson may have had a better Rouge, and he is right on top of him. And we're getting to that section where it's about keeping your foot down as long as possible. And you know, who wins out is the one that breaks. And even behind that, Moody battle is still commencing. And here we go. He's going to be late on the brakes, and looks like Toomey does have the front line, but it does look like Cale Davidson may have broken a little late as Ben Fiore does take the front from Moody as this battle is just going on and on and on. And it does look like that battle up front is still, looks like that we have, it's going to be Toomey is going to be leading, but Davidson is knocking at his door, and we're getting into a section of Pouan and the outside lane is an option always. As we're going back to replay of the Toomey, looks like Toomey may have been overtaken. And that's it. Well, let's see. He just had a little bit of ascend into it.
Yeah, down the middle. Nice, yeah, right, splitting the two Ball State cars into Bruxelles. A fantastic move from Thomas Toomey. Really opportunistic there, as I think the car in front of that pack was slow out of Lacombe, and Thomas Toomey took every opportunity he could to slide his way up to the front. A fantastic move. You don't see through the middle of 3 wide working very often in road racing.
No, not at all, especially in a place like that. That's a rather tricky place to do it, but he was very successful. And now we're getting on board with Kiesel Jr. fighting the number 20 car, Stuart McFarlane, who's one of our newcomers, and this battle is just about to heat up as we are getting into that fast section where it's going to be going into the bus stop chicane with the next possible opportunity to overtake, as it looks like Stewart is going to be, McFarlane's getting ready to possibly send it on him as we are going into that fast corner. And again, it's about who breaks late, and it does look like McFarlane is going in for the inside lane, which is the more optimal line. And I'm correct, that was Kiesel going for the inside lane, and it looks like Kiesel locked up, but McFarlane is able to get out of that unscathed, unlike Kiesel Jr. But they are still standing on top of each other. Because it does look like McFarlane is going for that position as Lucas Moody is in the pits. Must have had a possible time penalty for exceeding track limits. Did look like a couple times during report he was exceeding track limits.
Yeah, that's certainly possible, Keith. Probably a combination of track limits as well as maybe some incident points. We saw two instances where the Lucas Moody was in contact with another car, could have gotten 2 4Xs and maybe a handful of off tracks. Those would add up to a drive-through penalty. Could have also been assessed by the stewards for forcing another driver off the track after his battle with Ben Fiore. But that certainly frees up Ben Fiore to chase up and get to the back of Cale Davidson and Thomas Toomey, who are currently fighting. So we'll see how that story develops for the 25 out of Marist College. Drew Williams from Clemson University, we saw he had an unfortunate end to race 1, up into the top 6 here in race 2, so a great fight back for him and Clemson University. Robert Kiesel Jr. currently the closest fight on track at the moment, trying to get past the Auburn University driver for the 7th spot. Stuart McFall's up 20 spots in this race. Drew Williams up 17, so those two drivers having a great race here tonight now.
Yeah, and I just saw it pop up on the timing charts. It looks like Louis Diaz may have retired the car as he is blacked out, so it's unfortunate for him as we are getting on board with this McFarlane Kiesel battle, and they're still going at it. We got 2 laps to go, so this will be very interesting to see as we're getting into some very windy corners where mistakes are capitalized on, and looks like McFarlane is still driving that car and driving well as he locks the brakes up a little bit, going sideways into it.
Yeah, that will give Kiesel Jr. the opportunity here to get right underneath that rear wing, use as much of the slipstream as possible. And you can tell, look how much overspeed he has, but he's pulled out of the slipstream a little bit too early maybe. He's going to try to look around the outside of the Auburn University driver. This is Florida International versus Auburn. 2 southeastern schools going at it right now. It looks like Robert Kiesel Jr. with a great line through Blanchimont as they head down into the bus stop now. A little bit of a switchback there move going into the corner. Kiesel Jr. will have the inside line now. Slams over the curbs there, but is trying to use as much. Oh, spin! A spin from the 20 car! Stuart McFall spins out of the bus stop. It looks like he's dropping all the way down the order. He might have hit the wall. Yeah, we see damage in that front wing, so there might be contact with the wall. An unfortunate end to his to that battle between Florida International and Auburn there.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate as he may have just sent it a little too hard, got that wheel spin and spun as it does look like he's fallen back with his teammate, who's also a newcomer for Stewart, and it looks like Toomey is already being challenged for that 3rd place by the Ball State driver of Cale Davison. He wants to join his teammates up in 1st and 2nd, but Toomey is still just driving consistently and blocking those lanes as Davison's still standing off. Toomey was sliding a little bit, but we're going around a couple fast corners where nothing really can do. You just kind of have to sit and wait and hope that mistakes are made. And it doesn't look like Toomey has made many mistakes this evening.
Yeah, for sure. I think that just goes to show how strong the slipstream effect is here around Spa. You can have a gap of a 6/10 of a second, and that can all be evaporated in the blink of an eye due to how long these straights are and just how powerful the slipstream is. But at the moment, we're on the penultimate lap. Muhammad Alif has done a fantastic job of getting back to the front after being put in the 10th spot due to a reverse grid setup here in the 2nd race. So Muhammad Ali from Ball State back in the 1st position. Jake Cummings from Wingate University doing a very nice job in 2nd at the moment. And then the battle for the last podium positions between University of Virginia Thomas Toomey and Ball State's Cale Davidson. We saw these two fighting for the last podium spot in the 1st race, and now it's positions reversed where Toomey is defending rather than attacking, as we only have a few corners to go in the penultimate lap. We'll have the white flag next time by.
Yeah, this has been a very good battle, but Toomey is just staying consistent, and that's what matters, is picking your line, staying consistent. But this will be very interesting, as it does look like Cale Davison is staying in that draft, and we'll see what happens here in the braking zone, who's going to be the first one to brake. And it looks like Toomey's probably going to win out in this battle, as we do get the white flag from Bernie, and we are on the last lap. And this battle is going to get eaten up, as, like I said in the race before, people made moves in the last race. It's the last race of the night. You're going to put all your energy into this lap, as it does look like Kel Davison is falling behind a little bit from Toomey, but going up a Rouge, you could make up some of that time as we were going around onto that front straight.
Yeah, for sure. One final time around this iconic Spa Francorchamps circuit. Right now, our Muhammad Leaf still in the lead, followed by Jake Cummings and Thomas Toomey. But will that order change in the final lap? The number 2 car of Cale Davidson chasing down the 166 Cavalier car as they head down the Kimmel Straight for one final time tonight. The gap currently sitting at about 0.2 of a second, but quickly closing as the slipstream comes into play here. And Cale Davidson, he wants to sit in the slipstream because he knows that back stretch straight with the Blanchimont and bus stop is going to be the final opportunity, and he doesn't want to give any opportunity to Thomas Toomey to fight this one back, as there are positions being swapped between Lucas Moody and Robert Kiesel Jr. back for the 7th and 8th position, but we want to ride on board still with this battle for the last podium spot between Ball State and University of Virginia.
Yeah, and these guys have been battling all night, so I just hope they continue with that respect as we are going around some fast winding corners. It does look like Toomey has got a little bit of a gap, but Toomey hasn't actually gotten out of that 1 second gap, and it does look like there's some contact that possibly happened in the back, as I do see someone falling down without next to their name. That's the Ball State University car of Lucas Moody, but unfortunately that happens. But we're going to focus back on this battle, as Cale Davison is still on the back of that University of Virginia car of Lucas Toomey, and it's going to continue. And like you were saying, it's going to come down to the bus stop chicane, I believe, is Toomey's just driving a great race.
Yeah, we are down to the backstretch now, and this is where it all matters for Cale Davidson, but as Thomas Toomey put in an incredible middle sector, 0.6 is now the gap. It looks like Cale Davidson might be too far to make this move work, but how powerful will the slipstream be? It was 0.6, it's now down to 0.5 through Blanchimont. Will that gap close anymore? It's going to be difficult. Cale Davidson now down to about 0.4, but he's going to really have to send it in here to the bus stop to get this move to work. For one final time into the bus stop, Cale Davidson in 4th will not get there to beat Thomas Toomey, and Cale Davidson is actually going into the pit lane.
Interesting. That might be a mistake, but who knows? The pit lane is a 50-mile speed limit, if I remember correctly, so this might be an interesting decision, as it does look like Ben Fury got 4th place, so that's going to be interesting what happens.
Cale Davidson might have a drive-through for too many off-tracks.
Oh, that's not good. This battle for it looks like 11th or 10th place is still heating up a little bit, but it does look like our final point scorer this evening is going to be Stuart McFall from Ashburn University, which is a great showing for his first race here at CIL.
Yeah, the Auburn University driver is able to come home after starting the second race in 27th, finishes in 10th and gets a point for Auburn University. A great drive from him. Cale Davidson was about 0.07 of a second behind Ben Fiore, so maybe there wasn't a drive-through as burnouts are happening and there's contact with the burnouts for the Ball State and Auburn University cars. So a bit of a burnout fail there, but your race 2 and race 1 winner. Oh, the Auburn University cars have killed each other. Oh man, that's going to be a tough one to explain to the esports director there when one of their drivers is in the hospital. But a great second race as our last couple drivers come across the line now to finish a very, very entertaining Belgian Grand Prix here in the CIL Formula C Championship. Our Muhammad Leaf, your race winner in race 1 and race 2. Hopefully we will get to hear from our drivers in the next couple moments as they pile into the interview waiting room, and we'll get an opportunity to talk with them, Keith.
Yeah, indeed, that was some good racing. Even the second race, our Muhammad Leaf is still something to be reckoned with. I think he's won almost every race this season, so that was a great start. But I just want to point out the fact that Jake Cummings was able to battle and stay in second place with a 6-second gap from Thomas Toomey. That is still some very, very impressive driving from our winner, I believe, of the alumni class. And that was, again, that second race was still super respectful. There were a couple little contacts, but it was super respectful, as I believe we're getting ready to go into the results.
Yeah, for sure. As we pull up the results here now for our second race of the evening, it is going to be our Muhammad Leaf, who's able to pull out 2 victories tonight for Ball State University, and right behind him is Jake Cummings from Wingate University, who is able to come home second after starting the second race in 3rd. Thomas Toomey climbs up 5 spots in the second race from 8th to 3rd to round out your podium, and Ben Fiore from Marist College will come home in 4th. Drew Williams out of Clemson University will come home in 5th. and 6th will be Aiken Lamar from Howard Community College. Bradley Skinker from Ball State University in 7th. C.L. Smith from Auburn University in his CIL debut come home 8th, and his Auburn University teammate of Stuart McFall will be 9th. Robert Kiesel Jr. comes home in 10th for Florida International after being involved in a couple incidents in the second race, and Nicholas Patinella out of Robert Morris University just misses out on the points-paying positions and comes home in 11th. 12th will be Tristan LeClaire out of St. Clair College, and then Cale Davidson, after getting a drive-through penalty at the end of the race, will come home in 13th. Tyler Kliggensmith will come home in 14th for Robert Morris University, and Jason Satterley from Auburn in 15th. Mark Turk from the Penn College of Technology in 16th as your last car on the lead lap. A couple of the drivers who finished the race a few laps down. Lucas Moody, we saw he was involved in a couple of incidents tonight, including a spectacular one which sent Louis Diaz on top of him. He'll come home in 17th for Ball State. And the 18th will go to Nicholas Stockner out of Clemson University. A couple of the drivers who came home across the line, not on the lead lap, but were running at the time of the finish. I think Louis Diaz came home in 19th. He was sent over top of Lucas Moody earlier in the race, and that really ruined his day. Ethan Decatur out of Valparaiso University in 20th. Zach Lindler out of Lennar Rhine will be 3 laps down in 21st. And then Isaac Beekman, Andrew Burrell, Austin DeLong, Ricky Paz, Jason Wallet, Michael Tognati. I think that rounds out a few more. Ryan Bannon and Athena LeClaire, all multiple laps down, will come home in their respective positions. Keith, interesting race there, especially towards the end, as strategy for who wants to be in the slipstream where it played out.
100%. I mean, you saw that slipstream was very powerful on this track because of it's a downforce heavy track. Slipstream comes into play. Like I said earlier, it's almost like DRS. DRS is essentially a slipstream in this, so it should be interesting to hear the drivers what they had to say, because I mean some of these drivers, like Jake Cummings, prime example, really didn't have a slipstream, versus even a Leaf really didn't have a slipstream. So it's gonna be very interesting to hear these drivers that are coming up here that won this race, with the lack of slipstream. But yeah, overall, I think that was probably one of the more respectable races I've seen out of CIL, which I'm loving to see the respect from these drivers, as they're respecting the fact that everyone in this league has something special and are great drivers, and you just want to be out there to rep your school, and being respectful is half of that.
Yeah, for sure. But now I think it's time to hear from some of our drivers in the race this evening. Some of our podium finishers, I should say, be more specific. But joining us first in the waiting room, or in the broadcast booth tonight, is going to be Thomas Toomey out of the University of Virginia. Thomas, congratulations. 2 podium finishes tonight. How does it feel, and how close were those fights out there?
Good. Yeah, I'll take the double P3. Those are good points. There weren't too many battles, I would say. There was some. It's very awkward with the long straight and the slow car, so you had to really time your passes. And I did that going into the last lap, the first race, and then this race I kind of got lucky and got 2 positions in one corner, and then just tried to hold it until then and save my off tracks.
So yeah, I was speaking earlier about the downforce and the slipstream. Where is that level with the downforce? You're just kind of like, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And also, with that, how were you playing that, the slipstream from all the cars around you?
There wasn't really much to be had in the corners. It was mostly just mechanical grip, a little bit of understeer, but not that much. It was mostly just on the straights. The draft was insane. Like, you could be like almost a second back and still gain a lot of time. And yeah, that's when I saw that the front 2 were just in a draft, and a Leaf's pace was just crazy the whole night. So at that point, I knew I was just P3 was the maximum I could get. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, Thomas, great race tonight. We saw you fight your way through the field in both races, really. A lot of action around you tonight. But before we send you on your way this evening, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast?
Yeah, I just want to shout out CIL, and yeah, I think that was a clean race overall. I think there was a couple incidents, but I think there were a couple battles from what I heard. So yeah, good job to everyone.
Well, awesome, Thomas. Thank you once again, and congratulations on the double 3rd place finish tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think overtake of the night definitely has to go to Thomas Toomey for him sending it middle of 3 wide and making it work down into Bruxelles to get past the 2 Ball State drivers who were holding him up. But lots of fun watching that guy drive. He always makes it exciting.
Yes, he does, and even in the Cup Series, he makes things always very interesting for us in the observer booth.
Yeah, for sure. But now joining us in the broadcast booth, it's going to be Jake Cummings out of Wingate University. A good second race tonight, promotes him up into the second place after starting third in the second race. Jake, that was a lot of fun there, but a bit lonely in the second race, I think. We saw you stick into the back of a Leaf for a little bit, but tell us how that second race went for you.
Yeah, I mean, first off, after qualifying, not getting a lap in, a couple of mistakes of my own that assisted to that, but then having that crazy pile up out of no-name corner just kind of cemented it, and it takes so long to have an outlap and get a lap in around here, so just kind of curtains after that. But yeah, for race 2, once we were able to start third, I was kind of happy I gave up 7th it was in the last lap of race 1, just so I could have the inside and not get absolutely yeeted there, because it's so dangerous in these cars. You just need to stay really, really careful and keep your nose in one piece if you want to be able to make anything happen. And that was kind of my focus tonight, just focus on having fun and not really worry so much about points or anything, and then the results would come, and it did. And Louis was talking to me like, hey, if we work together, maybe we can keep a Leaf behind. And I was thinking, man, I'm not sure we're fast enough, even if we do work together. So, but then we did a little bit of that. But then he locked up at the chicane on the end of one of the laps, and then I was just kind of out to defend on my own. And man, a Leaf can he's able to maximize the braking so much that even if you have the preferred lane and you're still ahead going into a turn, he's able to just clear you. So I was like, wow, that really surprised me. But then I was able to stay on him well enough going in to those many laps, and yeah, I mean, just able to get that gap opened up to get myself some safety. Used a few off tracks to do it, but I mean, if you use them, if you got them, you got to use them here and there. So yeah, I was happy with how it worked out, and honestly, a little quiet towards the end, yeah, but that's honestly a perfect race weekend in these cars, which is usually carnage.
So you were saying how you had that, the nice gap. You didn't have to think about it. Were you concerned with the fact that, this track is a very heavy downforce-centric, slipstream-centric track, that you were kind of on your own and didn't really have that from the cars behind you? Or you just kind of focus on hitting your points and just getting your fastest laps possible?
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is at the end of the day. It's not like the tire wear comes into effect to the point where you're dropping in lap times with how short these races are. It's kind of funny. I did the F1 games for a really long time, and I absolutely adore Spa. So I was, of course, looking forward to this race. But there's just something different about these F4 cars. Obviously, there's less downforce, but it's sort of like the balance of the downforce is a lot different too. Because in the F1 cars, you can just send it into every single corner, and you might lock up, but you'll be fine. But in these cars, you have to be so careful with the rear, because the rear downforce can give way at any moment if you just push just a little bit too hard. So it's about finding that limit and staying there as much as possible, which a Leaf is so good at doing. And it's what has given him the massive lead in the championship that he has. But yeah, I'm getting better with these. I only just got the car for this season, and it's coming around to me a little bit. I don't love them, but I mean, when you got it hooked up and the track is cool enough to not just lose the rear out of every corner just for pushing it a little too hard, it can be pretty fun. But yeah, it's just about going as fast as you can and trying to keep the slipstream if you can. But if not, then it's just about maximizing everything and hoping that the battling behind is enough to keep your gap.
Yeah, Jake, super fun watching you tonight, and especially we saw that pack in the first race. That was super entertaining. It was almost looking like NASCAR out there, how 3 wide at some points, but obviously a great second place finish in the second race tonight. Before we send you on your way this evening, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast?
My grandma was knocking on my door during this interview, and she let herself in eventually and gave me some Halloween candy, so I guess I'll thank her.
Well, Jake, congratulations once again on the second place finish here tonight. Enjoy it, and we hope to see you up here in the booth again sometime soon.
Thank you guys. You guys put out an awesome production.
Awesome. And once again, that was Jake Cummings out of Wingate University. A quiet second race, but a fruitful one as he comes home in second place there.
Hey, nothing's wrong with a quiet race if you're getting second place, is what I think. It's points, and it's a good result. And you know what else had a great result? Why don't we bring up Alif into the booth and let's get him interviewed? He is, in fact, our race winner tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Alif, he's joining us in the booth now. Alif, you got a copy?
Yep, I hear.
Well, Alif, another dominating race tonight. I think Spa is always a super interesting track just because of the slipstream effect. But how are you managing that in trying to fight your way through the field in the second race?
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me was to break the slipstream of I think it was it Jay Cummings? Yeah, I think he was in P2, and yeah, just trying to break his slipstream was, I think, took quite a few laps, more than I expected. But I think eventually we got there and then it just pulled away. But I think other than that, it was just like making smart moves, smart plays, and being tactical on where I placed the car. I think it was so easy to damage a car, and get contact and ramp up incident points. So I'm glad that it worked out for at least me. The other two of my teammates didn't have the best luck, but yeah, we keep pushing.
So being that this is a very loved track in iRacing, and, well, it seems like everybody loves this track. Formula 1 races here, GT3 races here, a bunch of other races here. Did you really have to practice coming into this race, or is this a race that you just kind of came in knowing, hey, I know the lines, I know I'm going to do it, and I'm going to rock it as you have all season? So is it just, did you practice at all?
Yeah, I mean, we did practice as a team. It's always about getting that fine details ironed out. I think that's what we do great as a team. We're very professional in how we approach things, and very happy with the approach, and just looking to keep working on that.
Yeah, Alif, congratulations again on the double race win. We seem to hear that a lot up here in the booth, and I'm sure this is pretty much like a second home for you now. But I'm sure you know the drill at this point. Anybody want to thank or shout out on the broadcast?
Yeah, my Ball State Esports team, Dan Marino, BK, who's our director and assistant directors, and the whole program. I think they won the Rocket League match as well, because I was hearing the commentator shout just beside me. So to the whole Rocket League team as well for winning their matches, and yeah, to my parents watching it back in Singapore, and yeah, to the whole team.
Well, awesome, Alif. Congratulations once again. I'm sure you're getting sick of tired of having to come in this broadcast booth every race, but you're doing a great job out there. It's fun watching you carve your way through the field some of these nights, and we're expecting to see you again up in the booth sometime soon.
Thank you very much. See you.
Awesome. And once again, that was our Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University. Obviously, Ball State, great esports program. Shouting out the Rocket League team for getting victories in their matches tonight. So, a very successful program, and it shows, especially in iRacing. That first race, they had, I think, 4 cars in the top 6.
Yeah, something like that. That Ball State, I mean, if you look at past results, that Ball State has been top 10, I think, all season, and they have, like I said, a very successful program. It does help that they have such a fantastic driver like Alif helping them out, some of these newer drivers in that league, and yeah, you see that dominance of how good he is, and it's got to be something special when you're constantly winning like that.
Yeah, for sure, and I think, some people might not like domination, but at least in my eyes, domination is almost fun to watch sometimes. Obviously, you want to see fights at the front of the field, and we do see that. Maybe not tonight, but definitely last week and a couple other weeks we've seen Alif not necessarily be given the easy win, but around a track like this where it's so difficult to break the slipstream from the car behind, being able to do so, it's almost impressive to watch.
It is indeed, and I mean, even just watching, I mean, Jake Cummings really didn't fall that far behind, but if you think about it, the fact that Alif was back of 10th and managed to then proceed to make it all the way up to first position and then make a 2-second gap tells you something about his driving abilities and how talented he really is.
Yeah, and really just that whole Ball State team, and I'm sure we harp on this every week, but there's that program really is a team. You know, sometimes you get people from the same school who join together and they might race together, but outside of the racing, they're not a team. That Ball State group really is a team, and they get faster together, right?
Yeah,
Alif
indeed.
is definitely more than willing to help out his teammates, show him a little bit of speed here and there. But I didn't mean to cut you off, Keith. What were you gonna say?
Nah, and you're right. In a league like this, as much as it's about me, racing as a whole is about you and your team. There's more than just you on that track, and you have to be willing to accept the fact that you're gonna have a team around you. And like you were saying, yes, he might be. I'm pretty sure he has ran in professional things, but he has a team to worry about. And it's important that you know, treat your teammates as the same as yourself. You want to practice, you want to be fast, and you want to pass it on to your team.
Yeah, for sure. But I think tonight we saw a lot of really clean racing too, a lot of close racing. You know, 3-4 wide sometimes down the Kimmel Straight and into the bus stop, and we saw a couple incidents, not too many. I think most spectacularly we saw Louis Diaz sit over the top of Lucas Moody, but super fun to watch tonight, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next couple of races now.
Oh, I very much am as well, and especially that point championship. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I would not be surprised. At least running away with the tonk, but I would not be surprised if that student championship is going to kind of be battling in the midfield. As we've seen a lot of these talented drivers in that midfield battling back and forth in points, and it's just only going to heat up as we're getting into some more fun tracks that some of these drivers are going to be more commonly known. Like I stated earlier, we go to Watkins Glen next week, if I remember correctly. And that track is, I think that is probably the second most popular track in iRacing. So we're going to see a lot of talent, and I hope we have as large of a grid next week.
Yeah, for sure. But speaking of next week, be sure to tune in, same time, same place next week on Wednesday at 9 p.m. or 8:50 p.m. if you want to see qualifying on Wednesday for the Finger Lakes Grand Prix at Watkins Glen. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Almost the American version of Spa somewhat. You got long straightaways where you can really use the draft, some high-speed corners. It should be a ton of fun to watch. But if you're looking for more oval action in the CIL, take a break this week to take some road course racing with the Cup car at the Glen. But next week we'll be back at our regular season cutoff race before the playoffs at Darlington for the Southern 200. So on Monday night, be sure to tune in at the same time, same place to see plenty of iRacing action here in the CIL. But I think that's going to about wrap us up here from Spa. You know, obviously from myself, Matthew Nordberg, Keith in the booth up with me tonight, as well as everybody behind the scenes at the CIL who makes this possible. We want to thank you all for tuning in tonight to this production of the Belgian Grand Prix for the Formula C Championship. Be sure to tune in next week, and as always, stay fast.
Yay.